At 1300 hours inside Inkblood Tattoo Parlor, the needle hummed to life and sank into human skin.
They are stabbing him. No anesthetic, no restraints. What ritual is this? The dermis is already lacerated. This is not a ceremony.
His vitals are stable, HFY. He is selecting an audio file. A podcast, I think.
Jonathan had queued up a true crime episode and was taking a long sip of cold brew. Stephen wiped excess ink from the exposed bicep, the rhythmic buzz of the machine filling the silence.
The biosignature readings, pain markers, are negligible. I do not understand how this is possible.
I am transmitting a Class 2 welfare report. Ritualized torture under apparent consensual coercion. The compact must be alerted.
At minute 6, the report fired across the galactic network. Jonathan looked up and asked Stephen to switch the music to something with more bass. A Thelthar response unit received the alert and powered up for immediate dispatch. The human never noticed. 6 hours earlier, the Thelthar Cultural Survey team had arrived with a pot of ceremonial tea and a sheaf of consent forms.
Welcome to Inkblood. Observation booths prepped. Same as you requested. Coffee?
We brought our own infusion. It is a mild relaxant, suitable for pre-procedure sedation.
Sedation. For a tattoo, he'll be fine. Just a little caffeine.
Our records describe a 20-minute body modification ritual. We expected anesthetic protocols.
20 minutes. This is a 6-hour back piece. And anesthetic, we don't use that here.
6 hours. No sedation. This must be a mistranslation.
Jonathan Crawley arrived on time, a 28-year-old construction worker looking for a memorial piece for his grandfather.
Hey, Stephen. Ready for the marathon? Let's get this anchor and compass started.
The Thelthar team settled into the observation booth, recording crystal primed, entirely certain they were witnessing a brief medicated ceremony. Stephen lowered the needle to Jonathan's shoulder blade and pressed the pedal. The first vibration broke skin, and a tiny bead of blood welled beside the black ink.
It is not a surface application. The needle is injecting pigment subdermally.
His cells are rupturing. He is awake and unmedicated.
Jonathan let out a slow breath and settled deeper into the padded chair.
Just need a minute to get used to the buzz. Then I'll be out cold.
Within a minute, he had earbuds in and was scrolling through true crime episodes, sipping cold brew.
Pain markers are rising, but his conscious affect is amusement. He is laughing while being impaled.
This is not a ritual. It is voluntary self-mutilation. I am initiating an emergency welfare report.
At minute 5, Pes Vor's claw trembled over the transmit crystal, his species' deepest taboos screaming in his brain. At minute 6, the crystal pulsed and the Thelthar Compact Emergency Network received a Class 2 welfare report.
Ritualized tissue destruction on a Class 0 world. Scramble the unit.
The response unit powered up, red alert bathing the troop bay in its glow as they plotted a course for Earth. The needle traced the outline of an anchor, and Jonathan scrolled past a podcast ad, completely at ease.
Pain markers are holding steady at levels that would send a Thelthar into shock. He is enjoying himself.
You are riding it like a pro. Some folks tap out after 10, but you are going for 6 hours straight.
The human's body is flooding with endorphins. This is voluntary.
The response unit cut through subspace, expecting a rescue operation. Instead, they would find a man paying for his own injury. In the booth, Pesfor watched the needle's rhythmic stab and could not reconcile it with the relaxed smile on the human's face. The human never noticed the galactic incident unfolding around him, lost in true crime and the hum of the needle.
Hey, Stephen. You got anything heavier? This podcast is putting me to sleep. Give me something with bass.
Sure. How about some old-school metal? The Hummel blend right in.
The consent documentation is thorough. He initialed every page. This is not coercion. It is deliberate choice.
No rational being would choose this. The pain must be overriding his survival instinct.
His biological markers show he is not in distress. He is, by every measure, content.
I cannot accept that. The Compact's welfare protocols are clear. I am escalating.
The response unit's ETA ticked down to 15 minutes. Keth studied the human's vital signs and found no duress.
I am authorizing emergency detainment of the practitioners. We must stop the procedure immediately.
You will trigger a diplomatic catastrophe. The human is unharmed and participating willingly.
The response unit dropped out of subspace above Portland, and the alien team was no closer to agreement. The compact response craft settled on the rain-slicked Portland street, its hull steaming in the night air.
PES-4. This is Keth Va. Confirm location and threat assessment. What are we walking into?
It is ritualistic tissue penetration. The subject is conscious, unmedicated, and freely submitting to an impaling device. Breach now.
Hold your position. We breach for observation only. No weapons. I want eyes on the subject first.
They pushed through the door into a wave of buzzing noise and the chemical sting of antiseptic.
Whoa, whoa. You can't come in here during a session. Wait in the booth, like the other guys.
We are the Thelthar Compact Response Unit. A welfare report alleges involuntary tissue modification. Stand down.
Involuntary? He paid $2 grand for a custom memorial piece. He's fine. Look at him.
Jonathan glanced up from his phone at the commotion, then went back to scrolling. Completely unbothered, the response unit froze. The needle still stabbed rhythmically. The man still smiled, and the report suddenly felt very, very wrong.
Human, are you under any form of duress? Do you understand that your skin is being penetrated?
Duress? Nah, man. I booked this months ago. Steven's the best in Portland.
Stephen kept the needle steady. $250 an hour, he said without looking up, and he's got 6 hours booked.
He paid currency for this. He is voluntarily exchanging value for tissue disruption.
That cannot be correct. No sentient being would pay to be wounded.
You guys want a picture of the design? It's a memorial. My granddad would have loved this.
The response unit exchanged glances heavy with an entire species re-evaluation of pain, consent, and commerce.
Why? What possible benefit could outweigh the tissue damage and pain response?
Because it looks cool. And it's for my granddad. What? You guys don't have tattoos?
The human's definition of voluntary had just opened a diplomatic chasm that no treaty had ever covered. PES-4 stared at the biosignature display, disbelief etched into his features.
His pain receptors are firing, yet the stress markers remain sub-baseline. This is physiologically impossible.
I have recalibrated 3 times. The readings are accurate. He is in a state of voluntary euphoria.
Is this practice common? How many humans voluntarily endure tissue penetration for decoration?
Yeah, tons of people. Like, 1 in 3 adults have at least one. It's no big deal.
We do dozens a week. It's an art form, not a medical crisis.
They have institutionalized self-harm across their entire species.
You say it is for remembrance. What motivates this? Explain the benefit.
My granddad had Navy ink. I'm keeping it in the family. He'd be proud.
The response unit had every piece of data. Voluntary, lucid, untroubled. Understanding was still absent.
Thal Vec. This is Keth Va. The situation is not what the initial report described. Request directive.
Report. Is there a welfare breach or not? The compact is holding for my recommendation.
Subject is human. Paid currency for voluntary body modification. No duress. Pain tolerance exceeds all known baseline.
Understood. Observe to completion. Determine if genuine consent is possible under such conditions. No intervention unless explicit duress.
But the pain, the tissue is being severed. How can we simply watch?
By order of the compact, we are cultural observers, not rescuers. We will document.
We stay until the procedure concludes. Record everything. I want a full report by end of cycle.
6 hours. Grab a coffee, pull up a chair. He's a machine.
The response unit retreated to the observation booth and settled in for the long watch. The buzz became their constant. A rescue mission had quietly become an anthropological deep dive into the human capacity for elective pain. 2 hours into the marathon, Jonathan propped his phone against the armrest, the full memorial design, glowing on screen.
This is it. Anchor, compass, and my granddad's name, Charles. He was Navy, served in the Pacific. He got this anchor when he was 19, kept it his whole life. I remember tracing it with my finger when I was a kid.
He swiped to an old photograph. A young man in dress blues, the anchor bold on his forearm, smiling at the camera.
You are replicating his markings. Is this a form of identity transference? A ritual of continuance?
It's more like when I see it in the mirror. He's still here, looking out for me. You get that?
I did Charles's last piece at 65. He said pain was nothing compared to a life at sea. The Crawleys are built different.
The observation booth fell silent. Pesvor no longer reached for the emergency crystal. He stared at the photo, motionless.
They embed lineage into living tissue. This is not mutilation, it is memorial. The compact must see this.
Under the needle's hum, a torture report quietly became a love story, and the aliens could no longer tell where the wound ended and the tribute began.
On Felthar, we wear memory threads. You embed memory into living flesh. It is not dissimilar.
Memory threads do not require blood. This is barbaric.
Sapient species across the galaxy practice scarification. The Keths bind their wounds with sacred ash.
We are not the arbiters of all pain. Respect may wear unfamiliar forms.
Pesvor's hand hovered over the transmit crystal again, but he did not touch it.
This still feels wrong, but the human's vitals remain peaceful. I cannot deny the data.
Then we observe, as ordered. When the compact reviews this, they will need every recorded second.
In the booth, the tension unspooled into a raw, uncertain quiet. The needle's buzz filled the silence they couldn't fill themselves.
Perhaps our welfare report was not hasty. It was a reflection of our own limits.
The aliens now sat as students, not rescuers, and the humans' pain became a lesson they had no textbook for. Pesvor retreated to the booth's data terminal, the weight of his own prejudice settling on his shoulders.
I condemn the cultural practice because my biology screams at the sight of blood. That is not science. I am retracting the report. I let my species' fear override my professional duty. The human is not a victim.
Acknowledged. The data supports that conclusion. I will endorse the retraction.
As will I. The Compact's Ethics Council will need a full cultural context addendum, but the report itself must be revoked.
He transmitted the retraction directly to Thalvek, copying the response unit and the Compact's central registry.
Thalvek. We are submitting a withdrawal. Stand by for full findings on human voluntary pain tolerance.
If the compact rejects this, my career is over. But the truth is worth it.
The Class 2 welfare report, filed in panic, now stood awaiting judgment, its red lettering a fading echo of a species misunderstanding. The tattoo machine continued its hum. Jonathan had no idea that a galaxy's medical ethics were being rewritten because of his shoulder blade. In Thalvek's office, the welfare report was stamped retracted, but a new directive glowed beside it.
Retraction granted. However, this reveals a critical gap in compact medical ethics. You will compile a full report on human voluntary pain behavior.
Understood. We will document every aspect, from pain threshold to cultural motivation.
A full framework that could take months, not hours.
I have already outlined 14 categories of observation. The data is rich and unprecedented.
The orders transformed the rescue into a research mandate. The aliens adjusted their crystals for a multi-hour vigil, no longer rescuers but chroniclers of the unthinkable. At the 3-hour mark, Jonathan downed another cold brew and asked Stephen if they could pause for a snack break.
10 minutes, then back to it. You are a champ.
Feels fine. Just need to stretch my legs.
When the machine buzzed back to life, Pesvor had already drafted 3 chapters of an addendum he never imagined writing. With the retraction approved, Keth Va stepped out of the booth and approached the chair, recorder in hand.
Human Jonathan, describe the sensation. Your species appears to endure this voluntarily. We must understand.
It's like a good hurt, you know? A sharp sting, then a kind of buzz. After a while, it feels warm, almost meditative.
Jonathan closed his eyes for a moment, breathing steady as the needle crossed a bony ridge.
Body releases endorphins, natural painkillers. He's coasting on a chemical high. That's why he's so relaxed.
Endorphin levels are indeed elevated, 73% above baseline, comparable to euphoric states.
Good hurt, a phrase that should be impossible, yet his physiology confirms it.
Does the pain serve a purpose beyond memory? Is there a transformative aspect?
It's a rite of passage, man. Earn the ink, earn the memory. Pain makes it real.
The response team annotated feverishly. A new term was forming in their notes. Eustress. At 6 hours and 12 minutes, Stevens set down the machine, its hum finally silent. He peeled off the gloves.
You are done. Keep it clean. Use the ointment and no sun for 2 weeks.
Jonathan stood before the mirror, twisting to see the full back piece for the first time. He grinned.
That is exactly what I wanted. He would have loved it.
At the counter, he handed over his credit card without a flinch, then tapped a 30% tip into the screen.
30%. You are too kind. Same time next year for the other shoulder.
The response team watched Jonathan stroll out into the Portland night, bandaged and completely unaware of the diplomatic shockwave he left behind.
He tipped the individual who caused him pain. This changes everything. Return to the ship for immediate debrief.
I have never been so wrong about a sentient behavior. We have witnessed something extraordinary.
They boarded their craft, and the debrief began not with a report, but with a silence that spoke of a species rethinking pain itself. Inside the dimly lit response craft, the team gathered around a central holographic interface, the recording crystal glowing with 6 hours of raw footage.
I've isolated 127 distinct data points on human pain modulation. The voluntary endorphin spike alone warrants an entire subchapter.
Then we will name that subchapter The Good Hurt. It's a direct quote, and it will force the compact to confront the human perspective.
The overall addendum should be titled Voluntary Human Pain Behavior, Categorical Framework. Thalvec will approve. This is now a matter of medical ethics.
The outline expanded rapidly, 600 pages divided into historical context, neurochemical response, sociocultural analysis, and cross-species comparison. Thalvec received the initial outline and responded with a single line, "Proceed." This will redefine our understanding of sentient endurance.
I will personally write the foreword. I need every member of the compact to understand that my initial report was a failure of empathy, not science.
The biology alone will shake the council, but the psychology, humans voluntarily rewire their pain pathways for love. That is unprecedented.
And they pay for it. Then tip the one who inflicts it. The galaxy will need to learn a new word. Eustress.
As the craft left Earth's atmosphere, the first complete draft of the addendum was already taking shape, a document born from a scream, refined into a lesson. 3 standard months later, the Thelthar Compact issued Addendum 47B, a 600-page document on voluntary human pain behavior. Simultaneously, the original trauma report was formally retracted, its red letter replaced by a calm green seal.
This document does not condone pain, but it recognizes that what one species calls torture, another calls remembrance.
Chapter 3, Distinguishing Ceremonial Body Modification from Pathological Self-Harm, became the most cited text in galactic academia. The comparative pain threshold chart went viral across species. Humans outranked every other known sentient by a factor of 3. The galactic newsfeed erupted with a single headline that no editor could resist. He paid for this?
The public reaction is unprecedented. The human Jonathan Crawley's face has become the icon of our new medical ethics paradigm.
Pesfor's name was attached to the foreword. His confession of bias now required reading for all Thelthar anthropologists. The human, meanwhile, had no idea that his back piece was the subject of a 600-page framework that was now mandatory reading in 3 systems. He simply thought it looked cool. The meme crossed into human networks within hours. A Portland morning show held up the galaxy's message loud and proud. Aliens called a 6-hour tattoo session witnessed torture, the anchor said, barely keeping a straight face. The broadcast then ran the alien report verbatim, and the studio audience erupted in laughter.
The humans have embraced the incident as comedy. Their social networks are replete with variations of "he paid for this."
Even the museum exhibits updated, featuring a hologram of the tattoo session with a question mark labeled "voluntary." A human t-shirt company printed the phrase within a week, shipping orders to 3 systems. Interspecies forums erupted with humans explaining badge of pain traditions, and aliens listening, horrified but fascinated.
They laugh at our panic. Perhaps that is the best outcome imaginable.
The emotional gap is closing. They mock us, and in doing so, they welcome us.
The cultural exchange was no longer a rescue. It was a 2-way street paved in laughter and needle buzz. On a clear Portland morning, Jonathan Crawley hoisted a steel beam onto his shoulder, the healed memorial tattoo catching the sun. A coworker pointed at the ink, grinning.
Yeah, sick, right? Best 6 hours of my life.
He meant it literally. The same 6 hours that had quietly rewritten the galaxy's understanding of pain. The construction yard buzzed on, completely unaware that this man's back had its own chapter in galactic law. He'd seen the viral headline, "He paid for this," floating online, but never connected it to his own shoulder.
Aliens freaked out over a tattoo, man. Can you imagine?
His coworker laughed, not knowing the meme's model was standing right there.
Anyway, beer after shift.
He never found out, and in the grand scheme, that was the most human part of it all. That night, Stephen closed up Inkblood and sat scrolling through the day's news. The galactic headline stopped his thumb.
He paid for this? No way. That's our session. That's absolutely Jonathan.
He printed the article, framed it, and hung it beside the framed poster of traditional sailor tattoos. A month later, the first alien tourists arrived, clutching datapads showing Jonathan's viral photo.
Yes, that's the booth. No, we don't offer witnessing packages, but I'll do your portrait for 200.
PES-4, from his office light years away, saw the parlor's social feed and smiled faintly. He sent a short message. "Thank you for your patience. Your craft changed a galaxy."
Just doing my job. But you are welcome.
He pinned the message next to the framed article, right beside the tip jar. He chuckled, poured himself a coffee, and flipped the sign to open. In a quiet office light years away, PES-4 sat alone, the chaos of the tattoo parlor now a distant memory. He cradled a Portland souvenir mug, the inscription, "Keep Portland Weird," now holding a bitter Thelthar tea. The 600-page addendum sat on his desk, its holographic cover glowing softly in the dim light.
I screamed at a healing ritual. Now I teach it.
He took a sip, the earthy brew, a far cry from the cold brew Jonathan had downed with such nonchalance. The tattoo hologram rotated slowly on his desk, an anchor, a compass, and a name.
Charles, a name that outlived its owner, a pain that became a monument.
He had spent his career studying cultures, yet one human construction worker had taught him the most profound lesson.
He never knew my name, yet I will never forget his.
He set the mug down, switched off the hologram, and left the office for the night, his silence heavier and lighter all at once. 6 minutes. One emergency report. The galaxy learned a new definition of the word torture. 6 hours. One man lying perfectly still, while a humming needle carved a compass into his skin. 600 pages. Voluntary human pain behavior, categorical framework. It remains on the compact's digital shelves, and at the center of it all, a 30% tip on a $2,000 receipt, signed with a smile. Jonathan Crawley never learned that his memorial backpiece became a cornerstone of galactic ethics. He never knew that PES-4 on Thelthar still watches the recording, still asks why, but he knows it was 6 hours well spent. His granddad would be proud. He paid for this, and if you offered him a redo, same buzzing chair, same bloody anchor, he'd pay again, and he'd tip 30%.